Is it goodbye, Anchor? The latest from our daily newsletter at podnews.net. A survey sent to some podcasters on Spotify suggests that the Anchor name could be about to disappear. The free podcast host could simply be known as part of Spotify's Creator Studio in future. Among other potential changes, polls and interactivity could be added by podcasters on any host. That's currently only available on Anchor. One screenshot suggests that video on Spotify could be available to anyone wherever they host, but another screenshot suggests video podcasts will stay with Spotify-hosted podcasts only, a tier they dub Creator Studio Plus. Africa Podcast Day 2023, scheduled for February the 12th in Kenya, has been cancelled. The organisers blame the current economic climate for not being able to attract enough sponsorship to pay for the event. Podcast app Fountain notes that their users sent more sats last week as support for podcasters than any other week in history. We link to their chart today from our show notes and our newsletter at podnews.net. Our own Podnews Weekly Review is at number 7. I'm an advisor for Fountain. London-based podcast producer Audi has a new website and refreshed brand positioning and identity. NPR has announced the return of its Student Podcast Challenge. Zencastr is crowdfunding. The company's investment deck contains details of its performance, including its ad monetization. It's open for public investment on January the 31st. Transistor is the first podcast host that lets you add a Mastodon link to your pre-built podcast website. And UK comedian Michael Spicer has posted a video about podcasters appearing on other podcasts. And in podcast news, mental health podcast The Imperfects has signed with ARN's iHeart Podcast Network Australia for a further 2 years. It's a top 10 podcast, and in 2023 the show is also touring Australia. Season 2 of The Midnight Miracle has just started. The first episode of Magnificent Day for an Exorcism is available now on the Luminary channel on Apple Podcasts and on Luminary itself. And WJPZ-FM Syracuse.
WJPZ-FM Syracuse.
Your party station C89 will be celebrating being on air for 50 years in March, and the student-run station is celebrating with the WJPZ at 50 podcast, which fittingly will contain at least 50 episodes. The Top 40 station calls itself the world's greatest media newsroom. And that's the latest from our newsletter. To read all the stories and subscribe, we're at podnews.net.